After 8 years of Justin Trudeau, everything seems broken. Whether you're talking about the 40-year highs in inflation that Trudeau caused with $500 billion of inflationary deficits that bid up the cost of the goods we buy and the interest we pay. It could be the cost of home heating and fuel that have increased after his massive carbon tax increases. It could be the doubling of the cost of mortgage payments and rent. It could be the 30,000 people who've lost their lives to drug overdoses, or the 32% increase in violent crime caused by Justin Trudeau's catch-and-release bail system. Everything seems broken, and people feel like they're losing control of their lives after 8 years of Justin Trudeau. Some of the victims of his failures include immigrants themselves, 2 million of whom are waiting in the queue to have their cases heard. More than 1 million have been waiting longer than the acceptable delay time. Refugees, the number of refugees waiting in the system to have their cases heard has gone from 56,000 to 71,000, a nearly one-third increase. These are the failures of Justin Trudeau after 8 years. And nowhere is that chaos more evident than at Roxham Rd, where Trudeau encouraged people to cross illegally into Canada. He's done so through his words and through the system that he has set up that encourages crossings at that particular place. Now, Justin Trudeau will throw up his hands, and once again, like he does on inflation and crime and drug overdoses and all of the other failures that are in federal jurisdictions, and he will say he has nothing to do with it, he can't help. Which, of course, begs the question, if he can't do anything about the things that affect people's lives, why does he keep himself in the job? But obviously, it's not true. We didn't have a problem at Roxham Rd before Justin Trudeau. This is a problem that followed him. It didn't precede him. And secondly, he's the Prime Minister of Canada. If Canada is a country, then it has borders. And if the Prime Minister is the head of the government, he is responsible for protecting those borders. Let me address who is not responsible for this problem. One, the refugees themselves. They're just doing what Trudeau told them to do. He told them to cross at Roxham Rd, and he created the infrastructure to facilitate it. They're just doing what they're told. They're desperate people trying to do what all of us want, which is to create a better lives for themselves. And that's what Canada has been able to do. We've had a wonderful and successful immigration system up until 8 years ago. An excellent, probably the best immigration system in the entire world. And we need more immigrants. But we need to have it done in an orderly and lawful fashion. So it is not the refugees themselves. They are just doing what the Prime Minister told them to do. Second, it's not Joe Biden's fault. This problem started before Joe Biden even became Prime Minister. Joe Biden became President. And the Prime Minister has tried to slough off the blame on the Americans again and again. But it is not any other country's jobs to protect our borders. The job of protecting our borders belongs to us, and in particular to the Prime Minister of Canada. And under his leadership, the number of illegal border crossings has gone up tenfold, an astounding increase for a problem that did not exist before Justin Trudeau was here. Happily, there is a solution. And the Prime Minister accidentally demonstrated it during COVID. He closed Roxham Rd during the COVID period, but then he decided to reopen it. That was a decision. It wasn't an accident. So we as a country can close that border crossing. If we are a real country, we have borders. And if this is a real Prime Minister, he is responsible for those borders. That is why Conservatives are calling for the Prime Minister to implement a plan to close the Roxham Rd crossing within 30 days from now. Merci beaucoup.
What would you like to see? What's your solution on that? Like,
close Roxham Rd.
No, but like with a fence, with a wall,
close Roxham Rd.
How would you do it without violating international law or the Safe Third Country Agreement?
Under international law, we have borders. And we are in charge of our borders. We closed Roxham Rd during COVID, and nobody ruled it unconstitutional. Nobody found that it broke the law. The Prime Minister has had 6 years to find a solution to close Roxham Rd. He has the Canadian Border Service Agency. He has the entire Justice Department. He has Immigration and Refugee Services Canada, all at his fingertips. It is his job to to protect our borders. He said 6 years since the influx began. It is his job to close the border, and we're calling him to do it at the Roxham Rd passage within 30 days. Yes.
Do you support sending these migrants to other provinces in the interim?
This is the problem Justin Trudeau has caused, right? Now he's created a situation where the premiers don't know how to handle the costs associated with resettling people. The great thing about our immigration and refugee system is that we always worked in an orderly and lawful fashion to ensure that when newcomers arrived, they had schooling for their kids, housing for themselves, and jobs for the parents. And it's been a magnificent success. We probably have the best immigration system in the entire world. But Trudeau's breaking it by encouraging illegal border crossings at Roxham Rd. So we'd encourage him to close Roxham Rd and expedite the 76,000 or 71,000 refugee claims that are in backlog. I think we should, as we've always done, be a welcoming place for refugees from Haiti. And we should expedite those refugee claims so that they get done quickly and that people understand that they can come here lawfully. And we have the capacity to do that. We've done it for many years. We should work with private charities and other groups that have been extremely successful through private sponsorship to bring people here lawfully, help them get apartments, jobs, schools for their kids, just like we've always done. Well, and the other thing I should point out is the money that we save by closing Roxham Rd can be used to expedite processing of lawful refugee claims of people who come here the right way. I'm going to say it in English, though. You can say we had, thank you very much, appreciate your kind welcome. You know, before Justin Trudeau, we had the Safe Third Country Agreement. And that didn't prevent us from protecting our borders, right? We didn't have the Roxham Rd problem before Justin Trudeau. We had the Safe Third Country Agreement. So what is clear is the problem is not the Safe Third Country Agreement. It is not the refugees themselves. It's not Joe Biden. It is Justin Trudeau, because the problem happened only with Justin Trudeau in power. And I should just say, this business of blaming Joe Biden, the problem has started when there was a different president in office. And if Joe Biden were not to run again and there was another president, under Justin Trudeau's current approach, we'd continue to have the problem. The one thing that we have that is common to this problem across the board is Justin Trudeau, because before him, the problem didn't exist, and we know how the problem can be fixed. We need to close Roxham Rd and more quickly process refugee and other claims so that people can come into the country lawfully. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Prime Minister. Simon Dingley from CBC. Good to see you again, sir. What can you do to restrict access to migrants who are trying to cross into Canada at Roxham Rd?
For years, we have been focused on closing Roxham Rd. The challenge is not to say, oh, we should close it. The challenge is how to close it. How to make sure that people aren't choosing to cross irregularly into Canada, to protect the integrity of our immigration system, but also stay true to the values that we have. It would be unfortunate to put up barricades and close Roxham Rd only for border crossings to open up elsewhere along the 6,000 or so kilometers of border that we have with the United States. The way to close Roxham Rd is to renegotiate the Safe Third Country Agreement with the United States, which is something that we've been working on for many, many, many months now. We're making real progress. But until we manage to do that, we need to continue to support our immigration system. We need to make sure that the resources are there, particularly for the province of Quebec, that has been stepping up significantly in accepting people fleeing for a better life, people crossing irregularly. And we will continue to be there for Quebec. We will continue to be there for our international obligations, and we will continue to be there to try and make sure that we have a safe and secure and rigorous immigration system.
Sticking with Roxham for my second question, sir. This year, 70,000 migrants are expected to pass through Roxham Road, yet the refugee board's only able to handle about 25,000 per year. What's your government going to do to prevent the backlogs from getting even bigger and bigger?
We have, over the past years, actually increased the numbers of processing capacity in Canada. We've increased the tools that the refugee boards have, the way that they can treat more cases, and we've actually added people to that. Canada remains a country that is not just welcome to immigrants and to refugees, but we need to continue to accept refugees and immigrants in this country as we see the shortage of workers for jobs that we have across the country. It leads to economic growth. It leads to more construction. It leads to more opportunities for Canadians. And Canadians remain one of the few countries in the world that is unequivocally in favor of immigration, and that is something that we have to protect, something that we have to support. So we are making those investments to make sure that everyone can continue to have support, have confidence in our immigration system. It's something we're continuing to work on.
Hi, Prime Minister. Heather Wright, CTV News. You mentioned earlier that you wanted to see changes to the safe third country agreement. Can you give specifics into what you would like to see changed as part of this?
Those are conversations ongoing with the United States. We had a model during the pandemic that was reasonably effective. I think there are continually ongoing conversations about how we can ensure that it's not beneficial for people to try and cross the border at great personal expense, at great personal risk in some cases, to try and get into Canada if it doesn't actually end up in them being able to claim asylum status here. That's something that we're looking at in terms of spreading the protections that happen at border crossings around safe third country to happen between border crossings. But those are ongoing conversations with the Americans that are continuing to progress.
And the Conservative leader suggested yesterday that Roxham Road can be closed without renegotiating the safe third country agreement. Is that the case? Can it just be closed without that discussion with the United States?
Could somebody put up barricades and a big wall? Yes, if Pierre Poilievre wants to build a wall at Roxham Road, someone could do that. The problem is we have 6,000 kilometers worth of undefended shared border with the United States. And as we saw with tragedies at Emerson, as we've seen in challenges elsewhere across the country, people will choose to cross elsewhere. The only way to effectively shut down not just Roxham Road, but the entire border to these irregular crossings is to renegotiate the Safe Third Country Agreement, which is serious work that we are doing as a government right now. So people can, toss out simplistic solutions. That's their right. But if someone wants to seriously solve the problem, you're going to have to roll up your sleeves and do the work as we are.
Thank you. That will conclude this.
Merci beaucoup tout le monde.